You're listening to the Inspire Excellence podcast, recorded at the BVA headquarters with your hosts, Troy McLean and Tommy Alquist. Each episode is focused on shedding new light on different perspectives to create dialogue that inspires excellence.
So anyways, here we are at the Idaho Inspire Excellence, but I sincerely want to ask you about...
That's your intro?
Well, yeah, because he's already got a pre-intro. He's got a pre-intro.
This is like the first podcast with Troy McLean, and then everyone's expecting some sizzle, some like Troy McLean magic, and you start with, so anyways,
here we go.
The name of the podcast is wrong.
Yeah, I know. It's Inspire Excellence Podcast. That'll make the blooper, by the way. Look, there it's BVA, Inspire Excellence. I got it right there.
Okay.
We got our two guys right here that are setting us up for it.
Maddie Rave and Christopher are in the studio. We got a new studio.
Maddie Ray and Christopher. That means MC.
Yep.
Yeah. You guys acronym MC. MCI. MCI, meaning you moved to Idaho. The podcast goal for this week, for the next 52 weeks, we're going to do once a week podcast. We're going to center it around relevant topics that are happening here in Idaho between you and I and entrepreneurs, innovators, and inspirers. But the main goal is to get MCI to move here.
It's really the only reason we're doing the podcast.
Pretty much.
If we can get Matthew Rave and my daughter, who is pregnant, first grandchild.
How many months?
She is Maddie. 26 weeks, delivers in February 1st.
Wow.
So you think about that. That should be the goal of the whole podcast, right?
Dude, that is awesome. I like it. All right. Well, let's talk about who we got coming up. So first and foremost, we're going to get into some other topics first, but I want to make sure that everybody knows that we have Pat Sewall, who's the founder of Cradlepoint, will be here. And then we also got a wonderful guest, which is Anthony Baker. Anthony Baker was Navy SEAL, former Navy SEAL 1, 2, 3, 7. I honestly don't know what the difference is between.
We'll find out today. It's great. Tell us what you've been up to, Troy. Well, we should tell everyone. I've had a lot of people say, "What happened to the podcast?" We had a pretty eventful summer, you and I.
Yes, we did. We're basically two dudes with a heart right now. Thank God.
So I think many people know, but maybe not everybody, that I had open heart surgery.
Yeah.
Started having some chest pain. Went in, had a big lesion in my LAD. Ended up having a stent, but they found a congenital abnormality, and I ended up going to Salt Lake. I had one of my best friends do open heart surgery on me, and I'm about 14 weeks out, and I'm released fully to get back into try to get exercising and take care of myself a little bit more. But in the meantime, what I'll say,
you don't even get to interrupt that.
Hey, wait.
Look, it's just about you right now. You can't just throw out there, "Hey, by the way, I had open heart surgery, and in the meantime, we're doing this." First and foremost, you got cut from chin to belly.
Yeah. It was a lot of people out there. I've talked to a lot of people that have had it. It is just a big surgery. They crack your sternum, open you up, and put you on a bypass machine and fix you and close you up. It's as a doctor, you're around medicine and you understand the miracle of modern medicine, but you don't really experience that till you're a patient. And I was not a very good patient.
I was laughing at you, bro, because he's like, as a doctor. But I know that you're like the worst patient.
I was the worst patient there was. It was rough, but through it all, I will say this, Troy. I don't know how many texts, emails, encouragements you gave me like the entire time I was having my surgery. I was in the hospital for laying there in a bed, and you'd send me these videos and
daily, bro.
A lot of classic rock trivia.
Yeah,
it was great. But in the middle of it, then you had your own heart problems.
I did. Yeah. So first, I get the text from you that says, "Hey, by the way, I had a heart attack." What? And by the way, I'm flying to Salt Lake City. What? Then you send me the text post surgery, and you got filleted. It was filleted. And didn't you choose not to go under anesthesia?
Not for the open heart surgery.
Not for the open heart.
For my angiogram, I chose not. It was the worst decision I've ever made. If you go in and have an angiogram, ask for as many drugs as you can get.
Yes. And you're a doctor. You should know.
I should have known. I laid there thinking this was a bad decision. Then I passed out because of pain. And finally, the cardiologist looked down at me. He's like, "Hey, idiot, you ready to have a little pain medicine?" I said, "Oh, please." Yeah. But no, I had it for my other surgery. Yeah.
So you and I both faced that mortality, and I did the same thing. So I was on the jiu-jitsu mat, and I think it was literally like 3 weeks after you had gotten out and you were back to healing. And I'm thinking, man, Tommy just faced mortality. Like, oh, too bad for him. And I'm on the wrestling mat, and all of a sudden my heart just starts going up, 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 up. what? And then it literally felt like a fish. For real, Tommy, it felt like a fish flopping in my heart. I ultimately leave jujitsu. I'm like, something's wrong, but there's no way I'm having a heart attack. This is honest to goodness what I'm thinking. I swear to you guys that are watching right now, if you have a country wife, you'll know what I'm talking about. I'm thinking if I go to the ER and nothing's wrong, she'll kill me. But if there's something wrong and I don't go to the ER, she'll kill me. I drive myself into the St. Luke's parking lot. I'm sitting out there and I'm going, man, something's wrong. My veins are just bulging. My blood pressure was 210 over 170. I was at 190 beats per minute. And I walk halfway to the hospital and I'm like, no, my wife will kill me if there's nothing wrong. If it's fake, there's nothing wrong. And I walk back. The security guard finally comes and gets me and says, seems like you're contemplating. I explained you ever had a country wife story? And he's like, yeah, you better go in there. What I ended up having was AFib, A-flutter. They were going to convert me, which I don't even know what this means. And then they said, stop, don't do that because he may have, and I keep calling it a ventricle, Tommy, but what's it called? There's the left appendage.
Yeah. It's your atrium.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just so you guys know on this show, Tommy will constantly pick on me about I'll say left ventricle. And he's like, Troy, I'm a doctor. It's an atrium.
You hate it though, because for all your other friends, you're able to tell them any story you want about this.
I do.
And with me, I'm like, all right, I believe that part, but it wasn't that, right?
That's right. It's Troy. By the way, an atrium to me is like a little house. That's what I'm thinking. But yeah, my left atrium is what they were worried about in converting me. And they said, hey, let's stop. Let's not do that. 3 weeks later, I went in, they got my heart rate down. I was 17 hours in the ER. AFib, A-flutter, by the way. I don't know. Can you guys look that up? Like, I don't know how common AFib, A-flutter is, but like 2.6 million people have AFib, A-flutter. And I didn't even know what it was. 3 weeks later, they're doing heart surgery. And I go back in one more time on the 11th to block that atrium.
Yeah.
To make sure it never gets done. Make sure there's no potential of what they call blood clot.
What's the device you're putting in for our listeners?
The device that they're putting in is called the Watchman device. And for those of you that are athletes or entrepreneurs, I would say this honestly, that it's more common than I thought. Yeah. And I kept pushing it off like it was my lungs or something. Oh yeah, there it is. So AFib, A-flutter. Yeah, so I got Matt's tell. So about 1/3 of people have AFib, A-flutter, and they don't even know they have it. Yeah. So yeah, I got it corrected. I got what they call the cardioablation. My second surgery is the 11th, and then they put in what they call the Watchman's device in that atrium to block any blood from getting into this little appendage, and I should be good to go.
Well, so that's in part why we delayed starting our podcast back up.
That is.
We've been recovering. And anyway, I think before we leave too, it's probably worth it. I feel like we have to do this as just for awareness that, boy, I ignored symptoms. I ignored symptoms for probably 6 months. And they were very atypical. People always say, well, why on earth did you mean you're a doctor? You should have known better. But they were super atypical. I mean, I just, the chest pain I was having didn't feel like heart pain to me or what I had been taught heart pain was. And so I finally went in to see my doctor and she's like, yeah, I don't think this is heart pain. And I've had the same doctor for a long time. Mm-hmm. I love her. She's fantastic. And I went in and she just said, hey, it doesn't sound like heart pain, but let's just make sure. And the one test led to another. And it was, I was having serious angina for months. And now that I'm better, I did on the treadmill this morning. I think I've had symptoms for years. So for anyone out there listening, you got to get in and get checked. I mean, especially as you grow older, I think that invincibility of our youth of, hey, I'm fine. Everything's gonna be okay. We just take it for granted. As you get older, if you get symptoms, get in and get checked out. For me, it was relatively straightforward testing that got me in to see a cardiologist that then got me. The congenital thing would have killed me.
Right.
I'm very, very fortunate that I had the stent because if I wouldn't have the stent, I wouldn't have had the surgery. I wouldn't have fixed my heart. And, but anyway, crazy summer.
That's so important to say what you just said. There's so many of us that just ignore those symptoms. I did the exact same thing, Tommy. Christmas, I was out snowmobiling. This is before my surgery that happened in this August.
Was this when you were in the Avalanche?
No, that was the Avalanche last year. So yeah, I wasn't an Avalanche last year. That made the news, by the way. Yeah, it was pretty cool. I survived an avalanche and I've survived heart surgery. But yeah, I kept having these like little symptomatic episodic episodes. And as entrepreneurs and as men, we kind of go, just push through it.
Yeah.
Like, I got this. And now that we're both 50 and pushing up on those ages, you don't ignore those. And I did. And mortality hits quick.
Yep.
It doesn't mean you can't be successful. It does mean you have to be more preventative.
Yep. But one other thing before we leave is I'd always been taught that in women, you had very atypical symptoms. And for any women who are listening out there, heart symptoms are very atypical in women. So I think for men, sometimes we think of the classic, right? Elephant on my chest, radiating up into my jaw, worst pain in my life, someone sitting on me, right? But when men, symptoms can be atypical as well. So just if you're having symptoms, get in and get checked. I can't tell you how many people around me that have been in my little sphere of friendships that have gone in and got checked and found a few things because of what I went through. And they're like shocked thinking, well, if it happened to you, it could happen to me. And it's just, we got to be mindful, It also goes back to having a doctor, having access to healthcare. As things change in our country and healthcare changes, having someone you can go see, a place to go get checked up on when you feel those things, it'll become even more critical as we age as a population.
It will. And I do want to give a big shout out to St. Luke's. They were phenomenal. They did absolutely fantastic. When I got in, they were able to identify it and obviously just say, here's what's happening. The staff was great. And then you've got Salter Medical Group with the aftercare stuff that you can talk about. That you have experience with that, not on the cardio side, but just on that aftercare of medicine, I think is so important too, because my aftercare was, crucial. Yeah, crucial for me to have that positive aftercare.
Yeah, and yeah, again, for everyone out there, it's as you age, where are you going to go for that care, and where are you going to get the preventative care and the diet and the exercise you need to prevent these illnesses? That's the hard part, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, and you and I, come on, Tommy, we put ourselves ahead of our skis constantly as entrepreneurs. And we're like, I'll get to it tomorrow. By the way, I'm still missing my appointments for my regular doctor. My wife's on me. She's like, you're having surgery on the 11th. Aren't you supposed to meet with him first? I'm like, honey, I got this. I can Google things. I know what to do.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm meeting with a doc today. So
that's great.
All right. Well, let's get moving on. What do we got next?
I did want to ask you one other question. I know you don't want to really talk about this, but I think for our listeners to learn a little bit about you, Troy and I became really good friends over the last several years. And you just got off your buddy cruise.
I did, man. If you guys listened to last year's episode on the podcast, and you can just feel me brighten up about it, you'll hear me talk about the rule of thirds is one of the things I say. You want to have 1/3 of your network that's ahead of you, that's guiding you, that's teaching you. You want to have 1/3 of your network that's in the middle. And those are the ones that drive you and compete with you. And then the other third of your network is people that you mentor and you have mentees. For me, it's the special needs community. And I love to give back. I love the best way to get ahead is to give back. So the 12th annual buddy cruise, I just got back. So 3 weeks after heart surgery, I go on an international cruise. My doc is like, are you sure you want to do that? I'm like, listen, man, these kids will energize my heart. It'll be great. So over 600 families, total 600 families. Buddy cruise is all things inclusive, where we take special needs children and their families on a cruise of a lifetime. There it is right there.
There it is.
There it is. Look at that. Dude, it's so much fun, Tommy.
Well, and I don't know if we can see this on the camera, but I didn't know when you were going to get home back. I didn't know when you were going to get back. So I said, hey, are you back yet? And this is the picture he sent me on text. So
Dude.
What an incredible experience, right?
Oh, it's an incredible experience. But here's what I'll say. As entrepreneurs that have proverbially arrived, it doesn't have to always be like this heartfelt thing. It doesn't have to be like, oh, they're special needs or, oh, they're down on their luck. It's about inspiring, uplifting, and serving. It's about changing someone's life for the better here in Idaho. And so, yes, that was phenomenal. That was amazing. And you do the same exact thing. The same exact thing. Tell the story about your just whirlwind trip and this young guy coming up. Dude, it's awesome.
Oh, we had a pretty good weekend last weekend. We we went down to my son. My daughter-in-law is going to law school at LSU in Baton Rouge.
Oh, wow.
My son's going to go to vet school down there.
Yeah.
And so we went down to visit him. But on Friday, we went down and went to a NBA game in New Orleans, then went and saw Guns N' Roses. Now, the thing I'll tell you about the highlight of the weekend was Slash and Axl Rose were on stage again.
Dude.
And my daughters got to see that. And when they were done, we walked away and I said, no, my daughters are 15 and 17. I said, no, that's real music right there. They don't make it like that anymore. But it was great.
Amen.
Saturday went to Auburn, LSU, then went to a Saints Cardinals game. And then kids drugged me to a Post Malone concert to set off the weekend. That was it. Five events, 3 days. It was really fun, but it was good. Good trips.
Post Malone. Give me.
You don't know who Post Malone is?
No, Post Malone.
You need to Google Post Malone.
Post Malone.
All the kids love Post Malone.
Post Malone. What is it?
He's kind of guys. Help us out here, Maddie.
Who I don't even know who Post Malone is.
I'm pulling it up right now. He's a rapper, and he's got a bunch of tattoos on his face.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm not judging tattoos at all. I'm not judging tattoos, but I would never use this piece of real estate. I would never use this piece of. There's a lot more real estate.
He uses all the real estate he has. It was good. It was interesting afterwards because it's just one guy on a stage singing.
I see him. Okay,
and then
okay,
but comparing that to the pure unadulterated rock and roll on Friday night of Guns N' Roses, there was no competition there.
No. Did you like the music? I don't know.
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
It's kind of
my kids loved it.
Like super hard rap.
No, good play some for us.
Can you? Yeah, give me a Post Malone thing. He definitely uses all his real estate for tattoos. There's no doubt about it, bro. I wonder if he hunts.
He does pack heat.
Right? Oh, does he pack heat?
Very heavy firearm advocate.
Really?
He open carries in Walmart.
No way.
First Amendment, lives in Utah.
Can you get him on the show? I'd love to talk to him.
Just a shout out.
Yeah, post. Listen, my name's Troy McClain. This is Tommy Allquist.
Post, we loved your concert. Come join us.
I can't
Inspire
say
Excellence
that.
Podcast.
Yeah, I can't say that I loved it because I haven't seen it yet, but I do want to talk to you about open carry.
This is it right here.
This is it? This is what you heard?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got some melody to it. And it's probably not considered a rapper, right? Yeah.
Do you want to play it?
There you go.
I like him. I would listen to him.
Yeah.
I'd listen to him. Thanks, Maddie. I appreciate it. Okay, so you did Post Malone, you did
Guns N' Roses,
N'
New Orleans Saints, Auburn LSU, and New Orleans Pelicans.
And
It was
who's
supposed to be Zion Williamson's home debut, but he's hurt, so it was only a disappointment of the weekend.
And what happened afterwards?
So one of the kids that I took on the thing came up to me afterwards. He's super emotional. He's like, "Man, thanks for bringing me. It was the greatest trip of my life." He's like, "This is the closest I'm ever going to be to a Make-A-Wish kid." And he's like, "It'll never be any better than this." So it was good.
But those are the things sincerely that you guys can look at as you're listening. It's not always about making the news. It's more about making the impact. And some of the things that we do, you do, I do. We're going to have Pat Sewall coming in talking to us. He's a founder of Cradlepoint. Some of the things that he does makes the news. But what's more important is making the impact. And if we can make an impact in a person's life, that's what changes the world for the better. And the byproduct of that is, hey, sometimes it makes the news.
Yeah, right.
I like it. All right.
You have some things that are bugging you today, too, we want to talk about.
I do. Yeah, I have some things that are bugging me a little bit. And I know that you're a developer. And so legitimately, I'm like, all right, wait a second. So let me walk you through this real quick. I bought 2 acres in Meridian. Well, I shouldn't say that out loud. So I don't want people stopping. So I bought 2 acres in Meridian, but it's not annexed in. So it's not annexed in Meridian.
So it's in the county.
It's in the county.
Okay.
And I'm literally less than 130 feet away from city water, city sewer, but they're telling me I can't pipe in because I'm not annexed in. I'm like, guys, this is really driving me crazy. Like, I just want to tap in. It's a straight line. How do you address that?
So it's actually a bigger problem in the valley. If you think about it, there's a bunch of subdivisions that are in the county that when they had services brought to them, they said, "Hey, we will annex in, so we pay taxes to the city."
Right.
And that's all about. It's all about the money, right? Most things are.
Right.
And then once the sewer came in, then they said, just kidding. We're not going to annex you in. And so there's a bunch of subdivisions in Boise, are the ones I know most about that are in the city limits, but still in Ada County, but receiving city services, fire, police, water, sewer.
Right.
So it's a very touchy subject that has two sides to it. So the city, because they have these services, don't want you using the services until you're annexed in so that you pay taxes towards those services. So the fundamental principle is good. It gets frustrating for guys like you that are trying to do something where I've got a parcel of land that's right there next to it, but can't get services. So you'd have to go through the process like we all do of annexing into the city, rezoning it, going through city council. It's the time, effort, money that goes into changing these things it's a lot. And sometimes just the entitlement side of things and the legal, and it almost is cost prohibitive for folks to do the right thing. And that's why you see some of these parcels that just don't ever change. If you do a bigger project like we do a lot of, then it makes sense. You got a whole team. That's what they do.
Right.
As they go help you get through these things, and I'll help you. We got a team that'll help you get through.
I'm gonna borrow your team. But honestly, it's also an issue with, at least that I'm experiencing it from my level and my unit at a time, is it's conflicting information. Because I'll call one county person at planning and zoning, and they'll go, "Oh, here's what you can do." Literally, you call back a week later and you get somebody else, and they're like, "Oh, you can't do that. Here's what you have to do."
Yeah, and that's government, right?
Yeah,
government is not always the most efficient. Now, what I've found is the local governments are better, and the higher you get up to our federal government, it gets worse and worse and worse. But local governments, all you really want are, what are the rules? I want clarity on the rules. Once I know the rules, I'll go play by those rules. Right? That's what citizens want. So it's not always easy to navigate, but that's the reason why the rezone.
Here's what I told the gal that I was talking to, exactly what you said. I said, if you just give me the rules, I can do three things. I can accept, I can reject, or I can counter. Like, but if I don't know the rules,
or if you change them on me,
I can't do nothing. Yeah. The other thing that I'm addressing, as you know, that one of the main reasons I'm doing this is my sister is an adult with special needs.
I love this story,
and I'm trying to get her into her own housing, to where she has her independence and her autonomy, but still close enough for me to be close enough that if she needs anything, that I'm right there. And there's tens of thousands in Idaho alone that have special needs and are adults, but there's not proper housing set up for them. And I challenged the density is a big issue right now. And so I said, listen, why can't I build a multiplex on this? Because it's zoned R1. And they said, well, R1, one dwelling per acre. And I go, well, who's to define a dwelling? Of course, I'm going to challenge them. Like, why can't a dwelling be a fourplex? Why can't it's 1 to 4 units is what I read. Like, well, you can't do that. And I go, well, okay, why can't I do a mother-in-law house? Well, just passed a regulation. You can do a mother-in-law house. I think it's up to 900 square foot or 60% of the thumbprint of the existing house. But you can't, it's all based on number of bedrooms too, because it's not city water. It's well and septic.
Well,
and that's another pain in the ass. Sorry, guys. Look, everybody looks at me. It
is what it is.
It is what it is, you guys. Like, did he just say arse? Yes.
Hey, so Maddie just pulled up. There's a lot on property tax right now.
Ooh.
If you're paying attention to local issues in the elections, it always during election time, it's interesting because we got to pay for what happens. But who pays? There's a lot of discussion on our developers paying their share. All the people moving here should be there. Should we freeze the tax for people that have been here for a while and then just tax the Idahoans that come in? I mean, you hear crazy things all the time. I know.
Come on, Tommy, you can't do that.
No, you can't do that.
I don't care who's listening right now. I'm just saying, you guys, you can't do that.
And the other thing that I always find funny is once you're here, right, then you don't want anyone else here, right? So some of the most vocal opponents of growth that I know in my life right now are people that moved here 5 years ago from California that now want no more growth.
That's right. Yeah, I'm here now. Lock it down.
I'm here. Lock it down. Now, do we need smart growth? Yes. Do we need to do things right? But I always remind people we need higher paying jobs in Idaho. Period. If you look at what we really suffer from, that ALICE population, asset limited, income constrained, employed.
Yes.
It's a working poor. We need higher wages. We need growth. We just need to be smart about how we do it.
And who influences that the governor can influence from one aspect, but as you know, we got the mayor's race coming up for Meridian.
Yeah.
I live in Meridian. You're right on the border. I think you're an Eagle.
I'm an Eagle.
But you're literally like on the border.
Yeah.
So we got the mayor's race. What can the mayor, for a particular example, the mayor of Meridian, what can he or she do to influence that, or what can't they do?
So that's a deep question, right? So if you look at in fact, I laugh at some of the ads that are out there, because if you look at our roads and infrastructure, any state highway is ITD, so Idaho Transportation Department. And if you ever want to have a real, field trip, go look at their budget and how much they actually allocate to growth and what they have coming to fund road infrastructure on our state highway. So that would be Chinden, that would be State Street, that would be the freeways. Then you have ACHD, which is the Ada County Highway District,
and that's Kent, I think, runs that right now.
And that
come on.
How are you?
Pat,
come on in,
bro. Oh, see, what's up, brother? We got Pat from Cradlepoint here. I don't know if you guys know that.
Pat, good to see you.
Well, see, brother, we're talking Ada County District and Highway codes. ACHD. It's Pat. By the way, guys, I want to let everybody know that I met Pat. About 6 months ago, 4 to 6 months ago, and the first time I met Pat, I was told from a mutual friend, George Sebold, said, "Man, Pat's the founder of Cradlepoint. Pat's this guy. He's done so much stuff." And in my head, I don't know if this is wrong or right. I apologize to all techies out there, but I hear Cradlepoint, I think technology. So I think I'm going to meet this dude that's wearing sandals, and I think he's going to be very, very like hipster. And Pat's like, "When we going hunting? Where was the last place you've been shooting? And what gun do you like?" I'm like, "Are you sure you're the founder of Cradlepoint?" Anyways, Pat, welcome to the podcast.
I don't even know how to respond to that, Troy. I don't even have a clue. I'm just an Iowa boy. I mean, you claim to be an Idaho boy. I'm just an Iowa boy that grew up, baling hay and working in the fields. And, my dad told me when, a lot of dad stories, World War II vet and the whole 9 yards.
We love dad stories, just so you know.
Yeah. Oh, we like that. So, Dad I said, I think I'm going to go into doing computers. And he goes, he was a salesman for NCR for 37 years. And he goes, what are those? What are those?
Computers.
What are those? And what are you doing? And I go, well, I like to climb mountains. And so I'm going to model landforms, using geometry.
Right.
Yeah. You're like, your eyes are rolling over.
Yeah,
oh my God. What are you doing? And I was like, I think that sounds like fun. So I'd go out and true story, went to Colorado, took a surveyor's gear, just like you, Tommy would survey, a lot of survey. So I threw a surveying gear on my back. I climbed up the top of California Peak out in Colorado, and there's a rock glacier, which is just like a normal glacier that slides down a hill. So I took out some points, pulled aerial photography out, and then correlated aerial photography against the ground readings, and I measured how much rock was on the side of the mountain in pounds. Now you would say, why, Pat?
Yeah, why? I got to understand it.
And I would go, that's really cool.
Because it's cool.
Because it's cool, and somebody should do that.
I'm going to let you know that you and Tommy are the only ones that confront me on my BS. Because Tommy's a medical doctor and a developer and a technologist. You're by trade an engineer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Engineer, surveyor, technologist. So I'll say things and Tommy's
dishwasher. I sweep the floors.
Yeah, you do it all.
When you're an entrepreneur, and that was one of the, thank you, Tommy, for having me today, and thank you.
Thanks for being here.
But to talk about, business in the Treasure Valley, which is something I'm really passionate about.
Yeah.
And helping people get off the ground. Your company, really impressed with what you've done.
Thanks for help
with what you're doing. That's what the American Dream is about.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. When people go out and take an idea, they risk their capital, they go out and they try and create jobs. And all in all, we're trying to create a better place in the valley.
Yeah,
and that's what we're all trying to do. We're trying to help. We're trying to get We're trying to take the young people that are coming out of Boise State. Let's keep them in the state of Idaho.
Yeah.
Let's go employ them.
Mhm.
Let's go get high paying jobs here in Idaho. Let's go, think bold. Let's go out and try and take Idaho and turn it into a large economic machine.
Yeah.
And let's do it right. And I think that's what excites me about what you're doing, what I've been doing for the last 20 years in Idaho. And by the way, I did move to Idaho because there was hunting and skiing and fishing. That is all true. And that is also true that my kids, my daughter, Tommy, she's applying to med school.
Oh, great.
And she's going through the whole process right now, lives down in Southern California, and her and Nick can't wait to, they're trying to figure out how to get home. When she was here in Idaho, she was like, I have to go to the big city. You guys are in Mayberry. You're in Hicksville. And now she's, down
always
in San
good
Diego.
to come home.
As a matter of fact, they're coming home tomorrow, and we're going out to 2C Pheasant Club because Nick wants to potentially go out and look for some, pheasants, because Nick is he's just learning to hunt.
Really?
Oh, he's crazy. I bought him first piece of camel. Funnier than. And I call him, I go, you got a pair of boots? And he goes, I got sandals and a surfboard.
There you go.
Back to your point. I got sandals and a surfboard.
That's it.
And he texts me a picture of his new surfboard. He goes, I want to come and go hunting with you. All right, yeah, come on up. Daughter's a great shot. So.
Tell Tom, and by the way, have you guys ever met?
No.
Is this
we've
your
never
first
met
time?
over all the times. I mean, well, that's an interesting story a little bit too.
Yeah.
I mean, so my kids were young, and I'm, building companies. I think I built 5 here in the Valley. And some successful, some have sold, some have gone up, some have gone down. Cradlepoint's doing great. Congrats to the team out there. They continue to drive that company and create a great growth engine for the Valley.
Right.
But when my kids are growing up, I'm also family.
Yeah.
Something we have a lot in common.
That's right.
We went to a psychologist with my wife and myself. She's a professor down at Boise State.
Okay.
And so she's the smart one in the family. I can make money. but
she can count
it. No, she's a statistician. She can average it.
Oh, she can average it.
She can average it, yeah.
She can estimate how much money we have. But no, she's not that. The precision isn't.
That's right.
No, but she can tell you that. But literally, we went to the psychologist, and they said, you two are perfection-seeking control freaks, which is entrepreneurs, high people. And we don't want to put that. He's pointing to Tommy over here, doing that Blake Shelton thing, going over to Tommy, and going, talking about. We just didn't want to imprint that on the kids.
Yeah.
Because then they're like going, well, then they have to. We're like, no, you got to be you.
Yeah.
You got to find your own way. And so I purposely kept out of the public light forever and ever for that reason, because I don't mind if people attack me.
Right. You don't want them to attack family.
But not my kids.
You have a lot of relation to what he's talking about.
Well, I'll tell you, took that little step into politics for a short time and was warned. To be fair, everyone warned me, hey, this is not going to be easy for your family. It was brutal. It was just brutal. The exposure is horrible. And I don't know what it was like pre-social media.
Yeah.
But now that you've got everyone and their dog that can sit in their basement in their pajamas, smoking cigarettes and chiming in online about people, it's just the amount of meanness out there is different. So I
agree with you.
It's just rough.
And again, attack me all you want.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I can take that. And that's all fine. But I didn't want them. And there was, they have enough kids in today's world have enough issues with drugs and social pressures and the social media and everything going on that, we want to inspire them to do something really well.
So what is our responsibility as entrepreneurs in Idaho? What do you think our responsibility is to help with that generation from staffing? So like I have staff. I have now 11 staff, and they're all of them younger than me, including my Miss Sally. So, but like I take that social responsibility on. First of all, I have a firm belief that the neutering of the American male is happening. I really do believe that. I believe that we keep neutering these kids over and over again. We're all getting participation trophies. However, on the flip side, I truly do believe we never grew up with social media. We never grew up with the digital landscape. And so the barrage of attacks that can happen are atrocious. And so what I try to instill in my staff, anyways, I take that as my responsibility. It's like, guys, you were born to stand up, not fit in. But here's what you have to do. You have to define your why today. You have to define who you are, stand your ground without being a bully. So there are a lot of things, like I don't allow cell phones in the meetings. It's a traditionalist kind of point of view. I know that we need them, but I don't allow them in meetings. Like, hey, you can't have it in the meeting. So
I think it's I'd probably look at it a little bit different, Troy, on that. I don't know if it's a neutering. I do agree with your comment about, purple participation ribbons.
Yeah, so I'm like, gosh. Kills me.
Okay, I'll give you one shooting story because
Tommy's here.
Tommy's here. I'll give you one story. So there's a real famous training range out of Stone, Arizona called Gunsight.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't been there, we should go.
Okay,
because it is so much fun.
Okay,
down there, but it's down in there where you go down with really good people.
Okay,
these are people that really are down there and they're learning and they're all really good. I went down there a couple of years ago saying I wanted to get my purple participation ribbon. I was working really hard. I wasn't really set up, and I know the instructors, and stuff. And I'm telling Mike down there, and I'm like, I'm just down here for my, purple participation ribbon. And of course, then he starts ripping on me, going, "You're better than that. You can do that." Remind me just of my grad school advisor. He goes, "Sewell, your mountain is higher. Everybody has their own peak. Yours is higher than other people's." I go, "I've done more. I wrote TCP/IP for the internet, techno stuff. Yeah, something there. But I wrote. I'm like Gore. I actually did write some of the pieces of the protocol down at UC Davis for the PC when it was first coming out." And
wait, what? You go back to that. You wrote the pieces for the internet?
Oh yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
For real?
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah. No, that was my graduate school project.
Really?
That was. There's a lot of things you can blame me for on the internet.
Yeah.
And again, that's going back to the previous point here is, and where we're going with the kids, you don't have to go out there. You taught me the comment about being a tabletop versus a flagpole.
Yeah.
And how that you come out and you can be the lightning rod person.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Or you can build everybody up. I'm a tabletop guy.
Yeah, I love that.
I'm a tabletop guy. I'm trying to bring everybody along, and I'm happy if the organization succeeds. That's the way I was taught. That's the way I bring it. That's what I teach my kids. So coming back to the point of the children in here is that I don't think we've neutered them. I think what we haven't done is encouraged them enough to win. And we haven't encouraged them enough to win as a team. We haven't encouraged, we there's overemphasis on individualism. And there's enough that, I'll tell every engineer and every employee that works for me, learn your trade.
Yeah.
You come out of school, the first thing I tell you is learn your trade. My son's working for a really hot startup out of Incline Village with Dave Duffield, one of the richest men in the world.
But really?
Oh, yeah. He's doing awesome. And Duffield, created PeopleSoft and Workday, founded those, took them both public, doing another one. Matt's one of the first people down there working. And they're like, okay, we're going to make him a lead. Matt's really good.
Yeah.
And I said, learn your trade, learn your trade, learn your trade. Get really good. Medicine, talking to physician Kevin Shea. If you
Kevin's great.
Kevin's great. And Kevin said, how many knee surgeries do you have to do before you're really good? And he gave me the number.
Yeah.
Kevin. He would
Thousands.
He says, after that, it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
It's just
you just don't want to be the first one to have knee surgery with the dude.
No, they're all really good. You got to give the interns a chance, and you have to give.
Here's my life. Just take it.
I agree. Sure.
See one, do one, teach one.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you're an expert. That was always. I always loved that when you're. Never forget. I was in the burn unit.
Yeah.
As a medical student, and central lines. You probably had a central line when you had your surgery. I saw one.
I did.
And then they helped me do one. And then they said, hey, your next step's to teach one. And I looked at them thinking, you're out of your mind. I don't feel comfortable doing this yet, but there is part of this learning, right? And then to your point, when I was trying to go part-time as an ER doctor, there was a point at which it just, if you're not in the game, if you're not doing your trade, and it's not just learning at once, but it's keeping up on that,
Correct.
whatever that is, and keeping your skills where they need to be. I love that advice. That's great advice for anyone listening.
Yeah. So learn your trade. So that's what I try and do. And I try and teach people to be kind.
Yeah.
I try to teach people people have different ways of saying this. I say, learn to fail quickly. That came from another friend here out in Eagle.
Mm-hmm.
She's, one of her comments was, when do you know when you should hang in there and grind through and make it? And when do you know it's just not working?
Right.
And that's something I think people, Troy, like you, Tommy, and your speaking industry, and us as a group of, leaders in the Valley now. And I am doing more now since the kids are gone and they got to stand on their own 2 feet. At some point, they're on their own 2 feet. So I actually stepped out a lot more now. And thank you for the opportunity of being here. Love to do more of this, around the Valley. I think we owe it to this next generation, that we owe it to this next generation to help them.
Yeah.
And help by the means of not do it for them, but offer them the advice, offer them the counsel, offer them the learning experience.
Well, that's what you've done for me. So a couple things I'll back up just for you, Tommy. I've been talking to a lot of people about this tabletop theory versus the flagpole. And if you look at corporation, the flagpole theory is the staff is the foundation, but then there's a giant flagpole that flies, and that's the CEO. And all the PR, all the press goes to the CEO. And I was like, but all the table is the company. The legs are the people in the company. So if I promote Tina and nominate her as 40 under 40, if I get nominated as CEO of the year, then my next person gets nominated as, CMO of the year. And we start raising the table together. We're all a part of that. And they can take that with them. I think that might be ideology versus realistic, because there is a part that you have to have a hierarchical thing. But then the other thing I'll say, which you guys both have said to me in different ways, I just put in an acronym, RIP and REAR. Rank has its privileges. RIP. Rank has its privileges. I've been honored with being introduced to Pat. I've been honored with talking about LLCs to straight Cs, leadership under fire, which is our theme. Like, hey, I think the first thing you said to me, listen, when you go straight C, you really are declaring, you got to be prepared that you want to get fired because the board can oust you. In a small company, they can't. But rank has its privileges, which is RIP, and then REAR. Rank has its responsibilities. So we have to RIP and REAR. And what you two are doing in Idaho, and I'm glad that you're coming out, into the public, because the wealth of knowledge that you have, the wealth of experience that you have, and that presentation that you have is what's needed. It's not the patty cake. It's the, hey, dummy, do it this way. Tommy, you've been the same way. Like, hey, do it this way. So we RIP and we REAR. And I think that those leaders that are listening, I invite you guys to think about that, because that's what these two do.
Oh, without a doubt, I had another friend running a small startup, and he was going through and trying to make a decision on whether to use. I don't want to get into what he's doing.
Yeah.
That's not appropriate. But he had to make a business decision.
Yeah.
And it ended up taking too long, and he was running out of money. Number one reason businesses fail, they run out of money.
Yeah.
Just seems really obvious, right? But you don't watch the cash flow, you're going to go out of business.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to really work on the cash flow, and you got to know when to make a decision and when not to make a decision.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, what am I doing?" So this is the responsibility you're talking about as a leader.
Yeah.
Our company Forsta, my new tech company, which we're
Can you
doing-
pull Forsta up just so that we can see it? So to give you a background, so Pat sold out of Cradlepoint, had a wonderful exit, and then started a brand new company called Forsta.
Forsta.io, www.forsta. That means first in Swedish, because
Really?
yeah, you want to be first.
Yeah.
You want to do really well. And what we're doing, as part of that is we're solving a problem of secure messaging for people that are, building apps. The world now is all about on the internet. The world's now about, how do you communicate? We communicate here. There's still a reason to pick up the phone and talk to somebody, but unlike you, I do actually allow cell phones in because do you know how many times a family member or somebody under the table text while somebody else is talking.
Yeah.
Again, leadership quality. Somebody else is making the decision.
Yeah.
If we're the leaders, I don't run a company by consensus, but I do want every piece of data on the table.
Yeah.
I want diverse opinions. I want people to tell me what's good and bad. And at the end of the day, the buck has to stop with the leader.
Yeah.
And if the decision is made, then we follow it like it's your own. We don't do any of this stuff of decisions made, we follow it. Now, there may be new data. There may be new things that we have to readjust, but we're not going to steer the boat left and right and up and down and all around. We're going to pick direction and we're going to go. Mm-hmm. And then at the appropriate time, we're going to look at new data. We're going to analyze new data and move that. That's some of the things I think we can bring into that, into that spirit. And I know there's many listeners out there that are looking at this and had the same question I had when things get really tough. Who do I call? They can give me some advice.
Yeah.
Troy, you were over there saying you were going, well, here's my cash flow on this. I said, well, why aren't you doing 3-year deals? Why are you just doing these month-to-month stuff? Why aren't you doing 3-year deals?
That's right.
And he came back 4 months later. He goes, my cash flow is doing this, and we're doing up and to the right. And I'm like, what'd you do? I'm doing 3-year deals now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's those little marks that help to have mentors like both you and Tommy to be able to just tap the glass. It's like having a kid that's learning to walk. Yeah. If you guys just stick your fingers out, we just need the confidence to have that rail. And not that I am going to ask Tommy this, actually. I'm digressing in my head. And I'm going to turn to you too.
Oh, that'll be good.
Why not retire?
I hate that question.
Yeah, I'm asking it though. Like, why not retire?
I don't. It's a strange thing. I can't wait to see what Pat to say. But for me, it's not even part of the plan. I mean, there's so much enjoyment that happens in creating and creating jobs and companies and developing. It's part of who we are. And most entrepreneurs. I mean, I know several people in the last couple of years. We've been in some pretty good times. There's a lot of people that have been selling companies.
Yeah,
and every one of them. It's not what are you going to do next. It's not how you're going to retire. It's what are you going to do next, right? It's interesting, and that's who I love being around. So. Pat, I don't know what your answer is going to be, but
I don't know how.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. I mean, it scares the living crap out of my wife. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
She's like, no, go build another company. And I'm like going, okay. I mean, I love it. Yeah. I mean, I love the excitement of the people. I love the thrill of making it big.
Yeah.
I love the concept of creating something, changing the world. I mean, I love.
But what is it? What is it? And the reason I ask is I get asked the same thing. Like, Troy, when it be done? And I'm definitely not at the level of you guys, but I have more than most, less than some, is what I tell people. And I've been blessed with the opportunity to lose the investment that I made 3 years ago. I've been blessed with the opportunity to lose 50 grand here, 100 grand there. In some of my speeches, I go, what do you mean you've been blessed with it? You know, think about it. I had the ability to make it. I had the ability to invest it, and I had the ability to lose it without fear of losing my house, of losing my family or anything. I've been blessed with that opportunity. And then someone goes, well, if you just added up everything that you've lost, couldn't you have retired? I don't know. I don't know.
I don't even think that.
I don't think that way.
Yeah, so it's not part of my DNA.
I mean, do you think that we talk
about that? No.
I don't even think about that. I mean, to a point of, I think more about, am I helping people? I'm thinking more about, do we have something that we're in the market that people are going to grab onto and buy? I remember, I'll give you some Cradlepoint stories to tell you the inspirational stuff. I mean, I remember walking down with the two other founders, Ryan Adamson and Gary Oliveria, of Cradlepoint, walking the Paradise Street at the Consumer Electronics Show. We're walking down that street going, we are so screwed. We are so screwed. Yeah. What are we going to do? Because we're not getting the traction we need. Yeah. We're not getting this. We're not getting that. And I looked at Adamson and Oliver and I said, well, let's just bet the farm on these little USB modems that stick into PCs that Verizon's trying to do. but we're going to stick them into a router and we're going to sell that. And Ryan goes, yeah, I think I can sell that. Guy goes, I think I can market.
Boom, like that though.
We went there and we went back. We said, let's go and do that. And we came back and then we sold a pallet of them. Pallet came back, sold another pallet of them. And we just kind of just moved the ball. And then throughout the entire process of that, there's always these ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
And that challenges of that. Have I lost money? Yeah. I don't dwell on it. I had a family friend. We'll go back to some story, Iowa stories.
Yeah.
So remember in World War II that, I think it was John Brokaw talked about how, those are the doctors and the lawyers and the school teachers that went off to fight over, over Germany like my dad did. He flew with Doolittle, I think is what my research is doing. I mean, he was an Air Force guy. And Dick Federson was a colonel, and he got tapped by Eisenhower to watch the first atomic bomb go off. And he went down to Vegas, and the bomb goes off, and he's back there looking at it. And Eisenhower said, "Now go and tell all the troops that we're going to win. It's all great." And Dick said, "No, I can't do that. That was the worst thing I ever saw in the world. That is just mass destruction." Another example of the give and the take. But Dick did very, very well back in Iowa. And his comments to me always were, you're going to remember every bad thing that happened. He says, I can remember he was on Iwo Jima. He was on Omaha Beach. He was the real, part of the real deal guys. And he says, I can remember every one of those. Hey, do you want to see my samurai swords?
Yeah.
He would show them to me. He would show me this. That guy about killed me. And he was talking about that. And he said, but he also says, Pat, remember you do a lot of good. That's another thing we need to pass on and to inspire people. A lot of people don't, you're going to remember every bad thing. Tommy, can you remember every bad thing that ever happened to you in bad
deals? And that's where wisdom comes from, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what people forget is you have to have those that's part of the process. I love your story too. If you go back to Cradlepoint, when you were started, you don't know where these things go, right? You just know you need vision, passion, direction, and then you need to be adapting to changes and grinding along the way. I look at most of the business successes that we've had. We didn't know where we knew what the vision was. We knew we wanted to change things. We knew that was authentic. Mm-hmm. But what wasn't known is how we got there. Right. And I think that's one of the misconceptions of people that start businesses, that somehow there's some magic pathway to success. Or
you just got lucky.
Or you got lucky. Yeah. I love that one. Don't you love that?
Yeah.
I got lucky.
Yeah.
No, there wasn't.
There was no luck.
Okay, there's a little, I was in the right place, right time, able to capitalize. If you call that luck, okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask Maddie to bring this up too. Have you guys ever read the Teddy Roosevelt, The Man in the Arena?
Yeah.
So The Man in the Arena describes the entrepreneur to a T, but exactly what you guys are saying. I'll tell the team, objectives stay the same. Plans change.
Yeah.
And that's vision. The vision is we want to be here. A to Z is the vision. B to Y, we got to figure that out. But it's about having the vision, the passion, and the purpose to move forward. A lot of entrepreneurs think that if you pivot, it's bad. And I go, well, erase the word pivot. It's you evolved. You didn't pivot, you evolved. I've watched you evolve. I didn't see you pivot. I didn't see you post. I saw you evolve. But The Man in the Arena, if you haven't, guys, this describes every entrepreneur. This describes Tommy. This describes Pat. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood.
All true.
Yeah, that's.
But again, going back, focus on the team. If there's anything I could come out and talk to people, you don't build a good organization by yourself.
Yeah.
You're only going to get as far as your people take you.
Yeah.
And so what you have to do is you have to make sure you have the right people on your team. You got to make sure that they're bought into the vision of where you want to go. Mm-hmm. And then we have a responsibility as leaders to make sure that we uphold our end of the bargain. Yep. And our end of the bargain is to make sure we lead correctly, that we're taken into a space that they can be successful, that we're with honesty and integrity and the right value system, instill that value system in there. Mm-hmm. and then meet the needs of what they want to. Had another local entrepreneur here, tell me early on, put yourself in the other person's shoes. Put yourself in the shoes of your customer. Put yourself in the shoes of your employees. Put yourself in their scenario, and look at it from their point of view.
Yeah.
And then use that wisdom to help move your team forward. And if you move your team forward, the company will move forward.
Did you always do that, you two?
No.
Always.
No, I think, two things I'd say is I agree with, it's awesome just hearing you today because it's just spot on. I think the idea of teamwork and the idea of caring, I think you need to be authentic. And I think when I see people that have failed, that there are people that that fell, I question sometimes their authenticity or the reasons they were doing it or because people see through that, right? But if you're authentic, you know why you're doing it, where you're going, and you have a vision and goal, and most of the time it is to make either people's lives better or to make the world better. I mean, it may sound grandiose, but it really isn't. If you have that down deep inside and you can build a team around you that believes that, you will be successful. You will evolve. The pathway to where you're going may be a little different. And, we're starting several businesses right now at the same time, and it is hard work. In fact, my main guy, Ed Castledine,
yes,
I drove to lunch with him, got in the car, and we were driving over to lunch yesterday. He's like, man, you're going to have to stop me from jumping out of this car because he says it's brutal right now.
Yeah.
And that guy's putting in 16, 17, 18 hours a day and just beating his head against the wall. Right. But the passion's there, the authenticity's there, the vision's there. And he was honest with me yesterday. He said, hey, listen, Tommy, I'm just not used to having this much pushback all the time. And I said, I am, and you're okay. And we're going to be okay. And he needed to hear that, right? He did. He needed to hear that. He said, we're going to be okay because we know why we're doing this. You're going to, and if it was easy, everyone would be doing this, and it's not easy. And I told him yesterday, it's interesting that we're having this conversation. I said, hey, we're going to look back at this truck ride someday. And it'll be your walk down the hall of that show. Yeah. You're going to say, hey, remember when you were ready to jump out of my truck?
Yeah.
We're going to make it. But that's what I don't know about you, but that's what drives me. It's that feeling, that fuel. It's what keeps you up at night. It's we hit a roadblock. How we can get around that? Correct. We've got a problem.
How we do.
Here are my options.
Do you think sometimes that we as entrepreneurs believe more in the greatness of our staff than they do?
Oh, absolutely.
Because I'll tell my staff, like, what are you talking about? It's only 20 hours. like we're only in the half days. We're only working half days. Like, what are you talking about? There's 24 hours in a day. We're only here 12, man. Yeah. Let's put in the rest of the day. But I think sometimes we believe more in our team and in their greatness than they do in themselves. And I believe it's our job to nurture that out of them, but you will crack some of them. And I've had a talk with you about that. Some of my guys did crack.
Everybody can make the journey.
Yeah, not everybody can make the journey.
Everybody makes the journey. And I think it comes back to a few things I never have done. I never talk about, hours.
Yes.
And I talk about, the work. I had a young entrepreneur in my office yesterday. He's trying to, it's not a medical thing. He's trying to do non-emergency, transportation stuff. And it seems like a good idea. It's not something particularly I have a passion about, but he's a good kid.
Yeah.
He's 26 years old and, trying it.
Yeah.
Give him some wisdom on, he says, yeah, it's real simple. We're just going to go in business. And the first month, I'm going to have $90,000 in revenue.
Of course.
Just like all these new businesses.
They all do that. The spreadsheet says that. The spreadsheet says
I love that. It's really, those dang Excel spreadsheets. I like keeping those. Some of my favorite ones are the ones in businesses I failed on. I look back at it and I go, what the hell are we thinking?
He was doing that. I love it. You're trying to be, I am kind. I'm trying to be kind and go, I just don't believe it.
Yeah.
I just never have seen that. And if it happens, God bless you. I'm going to be your biggest fan.
Yeah.
Because you crushed it. And I'm really proud of you if you do it. And I'm proud of you anyway for trying.
Wisdom and truth comes off as insult, though, to these younger guys. Just so you know, the wisdom and truth comes off as insult. I used to be offended myself when they're like, Troy's being a jerk. Troy's not investing in me. Troy told me my idea that wasn't going to work. I'm like, no, I just saw this and I've been there. Wisdom and truth comes off as insult to those who haven't been there before. And it's tough.
it's interesting
I'm fascinated to ask you a couple questions. You said a couple things today that I really want to get your thoughts on. As you see Idaho, and we kind of are in this bubble right here where things are good, right? I mean,
Really
it's,
good.
it's really good here. And it has been for a while. And you get outside of this little bubble and you get more into a rural Idaho. And even, I always bring up the statistic that keeps me up at night. There's 1,500 homeless kids in the Nampa school district.
Really?
Not good.
1,500
Not
homeless
good.
kids in the Nampa school district. And so it's not good for everyone. So I'm always one of, hey, if we can recruit more companies that have higher wages, if we can create higher wages, it really is something that I think about a lot. What is the right environment for us to create jobs and revenue in this great place? Now, the problem with that is it comes with growth, right? And right now there is a huge anti-growth sentiment around
Yeah, I don't understand that.
everywhere. And
It makes no sense as an entrepreneur to hear anti-growth.
It makes no sense to me. And most of the time, Troy and I were talking about this earlier today. Most of the time, it's someone that is maybe newly transplanted here, saying, "Hey, don't come here anymore." Or there are a few people that have watched. And change is hard for everyone,
Right.
But talk to me about your thoughts on maybe smart growth and the importance of higher paying jobs for families to keep our kids here, and the importance of the private sector in that.
So I think there's two parts. I'll tell you some things I'm doing in this area that isn't all that public, but I guess it's going to get more public.
It's going to get more public now. It's just between us guys and the podcast.
Because of the podcast, it's gonna be a little bit more in some general.
Exactly.
Thanks, Troy, for that. So one thing that I'm inspired about, I think Boise State University is doing a phenomenal job over the last 10 years. I think Dr. Custra has crushed it. I think he did an excellent job in everything he's done. So one of the things that Laura and myself did is we have a passion. We're computer geeks across the board. So Amit Jain, running the computer science department down at Boise State, is doing a rock star job.
Yeah.
I look at those. He's graduating 90 computer science students a year. That's economic growth. We should have a challenge to not let those engineers, those people out of the state.
Agreed.
We need them to come into jobs, and we need our job as entrepreneurs, duty. We need to make opportunities for those folks. We need these new young companies with new young ideas to come up through that ranks. They need some seed capital. There's some things we should be doing in our state to make it easier to get some seed capital out to these folks, and a little bit more of the models that are running. There's a couple companies here that in town, the venture guys are coming in trying to do that. Stage.o is trying to do some stuff along that lines. That's probably not my idea of how to do it, but I think that the general concept, there's not a right way or a wrong way. That's just a way that you got to do it. But I think we have to work on having more, work within the universities that we got to generate some engine. So I'll give you one that has been a passion of mine a long time. I have no idea how to implement this one, but I think we need a med school in the state of Idaho.
Oh, yeah.
Amen.
Well, there's Stage.o right there.
Exactly. But I think that if you want to talk, I'm an Iowa boy. The University of Iowa Medical Center is a mile square. It generates research dollars. It generates economic growth across the whole board. And what we have to do is, I think some of those entrepreneurs, we have to get together. We have to work with our legislatures. And I think we're out a little, sorry.
It's all right. It's over.
The scars are still there.
I'm hopeful.
I'm hopeful too.
that Governor Little would can help bring that part of the state table up. You talk about companies table. As a state, we got to bring that up, and what we have to do is look at this area here, and we got to start saying that let's work on getting a med school in the state of Idaho. Let's figure out what it takes to generate those type of jobs. Computer science is doing well. The engineering group doing well. Keep those jobs.
Yeah.
And move those in there. So if you're looking at that type of economic level, that's the grassroots bringing up the whole table up to the top. I think that's really good.
Well, maybe you can help us start lobbying. As I looked at higher ed and spent a lot of time studying it as part of the campaign, I don't know of any other industry, which higher ed could be considered an industry, a business, that the results of what you do are not tied to your funding.
Right.
It would be the easiest thing in the world to just change that funding formula and say, hey, start cranking out kids and jobs and degrees that connect to Idaho companies, keep those kids here. And the better you do that, the more we'll fund you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it would change overnight in these universities. It would change immediately. And they'll tell you it's all funding. We'll tie that funding to keeping the kids here. The fact that we have the INL and we place almost none of our kids at the INL. Almost
fascinating.
It blows me away. The fact that we do have all these companies that are trying to come here, that want to come here, but what is the pipeline to keep those kids here? And it should be the focus. I agree. Boise State, Dr. Kustra, and the departments there, they're very much in tune. How do you take that to the next level with funding behind it? Because right now they're just doing it out of the goodness of their heart, knowing it's the right thing to do.
And that's some things we've done. Laura and myself have been working with other families. I'll probably hit you up to go down, and I'll hit you up too.
Yeah,
right? And we'll go down, and we're in the thing. We should be, we sponsor some research projects to keep some of the higher education people in there.
Yeah,
I mean that's how you're going to keep them around, keep them showing what's going on.
That's right.
Troy, I hire interns all the time. I got to teach you how to hire interns.
You do got to teach me how to hire interns. I am an intern compared to you two.
But we need. But you have to bring those. You got to bring those kids in. In terms of out of the state, we'll get Hunting in this a little bit too. I was over at Cabela's and talking with Tom Keeley.
Yeah,
and I was talking.
Sure.
Department of Commerce, and talking to Tom, and he was like, "Pat, we need big companies to come in here." And I go, "Yeah, Tom, I think that's fine, but." And you're going to give them a whole bunch of tax incentives, and you're going to do a whole bunch of things along there. I'm not against, by the way. I think those are
right.
Those are fine.
But I'm going to challenge that
correctly.
I'm going to challenge that a little bit. And by the way, we got 5 minutes to wrap on this session. But I am going to challenge that, and not Keeley specifically or anything. What I hear over and over again is what we need. If we just lead, and you do it instinctually, if we just put the word "how" in front of what we need. How do we get this done? How do we do this? What we need is a statement, but how we get it done, the brain starts thinking to solve. And I've heard over and over again from state departments, from people in the state, from all over the place, like what we need and what we, and this is what we have, but I haven't heard the how yet. I've heard the whys. I haven't heard the how.
How in terms of?
Like how do we get more smart growth here? How do we change the mindset of corporations? How do we get a medical center here? Because I'll hear from our representatives, and they'll say, "I know the problem, and here's the way we do it now." They won't give us the how.
Sure.
And it drives me bad.
We're short on solutions, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a change. I can remember, it was probably 15 years ago. It was in it's Kritsu out of Seattle.
Sure, the Kritsu Forum. Fantastic.
Forum. So, I mean, I'm an investor as well.
Good.
Companies across. I remember head of tax committee, I won't say his name, but he came and talked to a bunch of us. And now you hear I'm a high-tech guy in the back of the room, probably looking like you, Troy, in my blue jeans and my boots in the back. And he stands up and he says, "Well, hi, guys, how you doing? Let me tell you what I know about stock. I know about mama cows and baby cows." That was a true statement.
That's awesome.
And I'm over here and I'm trading stock left, right, and sideways in high tech.
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
Yeah.
Too, still.
Right.
But I looked at that and I go, we're on different wavelengths.
Yeah.
We're so I think there has to be, not only how, but there's got to be a bridge to understand the economy is changing, and that we need a bridge with our legislative partners and people to say, understand that agriculture is really, really important. I think we can do some more with agribusiness and stuff. If you look at what the Simplot family does a great job in a lot of areas. If you look at what Twin Falls and Chobati's done, really great stuff. And we can get some more food, services. We have some expertise in here, but the old ways are changing.
Yeah.
And that as the Treasure Valley is more and more urban, we have to change and grow with that as well. And that as we become more urban, we're going to need, to make sure that we support the educational institutions, I believe. Yeah. I believe we're going to have to take some bold steps. There's never a good time to start a med school.
Yeah.
I mean, there's never going to be enough money. There's never going to be enough time. That's going to take a bold leadership
Yeah.
to go actually and do that. And that, as business leaders, we need to continue to nurture from the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And that as well, because the people at the top, when you're bringing in a big company, we have less value.
Yeah, that's very true.
We have less value. Where we have the bigger value is on the small business side. And that's a huge part of the growth.
So we got 2 minutes, and I want to make sure we mention Forsta and just get it out there. So those of you guys that know, Pat Sewall was the founder of Cradlepoint and started his new company, Forsta. But I also want to end it with Tommy to see if you have any questions or statements.
I just would ask you, you look at your resume and what you've built and over a period of time, and you've got a lot of wisdom there that you could share. We have a lot of people that listen to this that are entrepreneurs, that are business owners and leaders that go through the ups and downs of that grind. What advice, you've said a lot today, fantastic little nuggets that I've picked up on. I appreciate it. But what would be your kind of parting advice to someone that is out there thinking of starting a business or that's just trying to decide what's next for them?
Don't be scared. I mean, don't be scared that you're going to fail. Think about how you're going to succeed. I dream every night of how this is going to be the next new thing. And this is, with this, we can get that deal. It's going to lead to that deal, and we're going to crush it, and we're going to change the world.
Yeah.
Don't lose that passion for winning.
Yeah.
Don't lose that passion for winning. And winning is to find whatever you want it to be.
Right.
It doesn't. It's like a PR and track and field, personal best or personal. Yeah. It is what is just that. How can you personally succeed and win? If it's starting that medical transport business and buying that first vehicle and getting your first passenger, celebrate that too. The second thing is celebrate your victory.
Awesome. Everybody, I want to say thank you to Pat Sewall and thank you to Forsta for coming on board. Tommy and I thank you.
You've been listening to the Inspire Excellence podcast. We invite you to find something that inspires you this week. Join us again for our next episode.